na kukaribisha kwenye mlima wa Mungu. Uko kule Thika Sarama Estate, ukipita pale Ananas Mall kwenye barabara ya Garissa, stage inaitwa Kwaheri, Mount Zion Prayer and Retreat Center. Ikiwa unataka chumba chako peke yako, watu wawili, watu wanne na hata kikundi, tunakukaribisha. Vitu vyote ambavyo unatumia kule kwenye mlima tunapeana. Mount Zion Prayer and Retreat Center. Ikiwa ungalipenda nambari ya simu 0797953840. Mount Zion Prayer and Retreat Center. Karibuni. Na kukaribisha kwenye mlima wa Mungu. Uko kule Thika Sarama Estate, ukipita pale Ananas Mall kwenye barabara ya Garissa, stage inaitwa Kwaheri, Mount Zion Prayer and Retreat Center. Ikiwa unataka chumba chako peke yako, watu wawili, watu wanne na hata kikundi, tunakukaribisha. Vitu vyote ambavyo unatumia kule kwenye mlima tunapeana. Mount Zion Prayer and Retreat Center. Ikiwa ungalipenda nambari ya simu 0797953840. Mount Zion Prayer and Retreat Center. Karibuni.
Karibuni sana watazamaji wa Ezra Christian TV na hasa watazamani wa chumba cha Mawaidha. Leo tumewaandalia kipindi ama show moto sana kama pasi, na tunazungumzia kuhusu kiwewe ambacho kinaletwa na maandamano ya kisiasa. Ni kweli tumekuwa katika taifa hili letu, tumekuwa tukipitia hali ya maandamano, na mara nyingi inaibuka kuwa na visa ambavyo vimekuwa ni vya vita, na pia hata mambo mengi ambayo yamekuwa ni mabaya. Lakini hatujakadiria, ndio watu wa manyumba zimechomwa, watu wamepigwa na mambo kama hayo, lakini hatujakadiria hisia zile ambazo watu wanawachwa nazo, na hasa watoto wetu, watu wa biashara na mambo kama hayo. Na leo ninamshauri nasaha mwalimu Eliud, na tutaweza kuingia kwa kina na mapana tuweze kuelewa ni nini hasa inafanyika baada ya kuwa na mambo kama hayo, na jinsi ambavyo wewe kama ambaye wewe ni muadhiriwa ama umeadhirika unaweza jimudu kivipi. Kwa hivyo karibu sana katika show yetu. Wewe ambaye ni mgeni, hebu gusa hiyo subscription na pia uguse hiyo kengele, ndio wakati tunapoleta show kama hizi basi unakuwa na nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kufikiwa kwa haraka, na ndio uweze kumakinika na kuelimishwa kwa mapana na marefu. Kwa hivyo karibu sana. Huyu ni Bazuu the Wise Man, na nafurahi sana kwamba mko hapo mkigoja. Usije ukatoka hapo, sababu tumeandalia show nzuri sana ambao tutazungumzia mambo mengi kwa kina na mapana. Karibu mwalimu Eliud.
Asante.
Nafurahi sana kuona wiki imekuaje. Kidogo tumekaa kama wiki mbili.
Yeah.
Lakini tunashukuru watazamaji wetu wamekuwa na subira, na basi tumerejea katika channel tena.
Yeah, mimi nimekuwa salama.
Asante.
Pilika tu za mental health na kusaidia watu ambao wanapitia hali gumu.
Ndio.
Especially now that
hata wakati huu.
Yes, there's a lot of unrest, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety that is being caused by the protests that we are witnessing in the country.
Yes.
So mimi pia niko salama.
Asante.
Yes.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Karibu sana. Na wengi wametumaini kwamba mtazamaji ataweza kuelimika na pia hata kujua kwamba kuna mambo ambayo zaidi ya yale ambayo tunayaona yakiwa juu, kuna yale ambayo yanafanyika ndani, na hiyo ni muhimu sana sababu ina madhara yake mengi sana. Na ndio tuweze kuanza show, ningependa tu kuuliza. Ndio kuna tukiangalia katika runinga tunaona manyumba zimechomwa, tunaona watu wengine wapigwa risasi na mambo kama hayo. Lakini hayo ni mambo yale ambayo tunaona, lakini ndani kuna hiyo hali ya kiwewe ama trauma cost na kuona mambo kama hayo. Hebu tuelezee tu, ndio yule ambaye ni mtazamaji aweze kuelewa, sababu wengi labda hawajakadiria ama kutathmini mambo kama hayo yanafanyika tu, wanaona tu mambo ya juu, lakini ndani kuna hayo madhara ambayo yanafanyika. Karibu.
Asante Bazuu. One thing that I can say is that there's a lot of fear that usually comes with anything to do with death. So anywhere that death is happening, there's always a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. Not just to those whose family directly have been affected, but even to the person who is watching. We call it secondary trauma. They also get traumatized. Because when you're watching on the TV or on the social media that young people are being killed, they are being murdered just aimlessly and anyhow. And of course you have your values, you have your opinions on what is happening. So definitely it gets in your mind, and now the mind is not able to peacefully process death. So now the fear that comes with that causes the trauma now.
Okay. Uoga.
Yes, uoga. Because when you hear gunshots, whether you are on the streets, and recently, especially the previous one here, Sabasaba, we have heard that even the majority of those who were killed were not participating in the maandamano.
Kweli.
Ni mtu alikuwa sijui anatoka nje anafunga gate amekuwa shot. Mwingine amepanda rooftop amekuwa kwenda kuangalia amekuwa shot. Mwingine sijui amefanya nini, mtoto ameshutiwa tu kwa nyumba ndani, you know. So with all that, especially those people who live closer to the roads or places where the demonstrations are happening, they can't be in peace. And especially when now unasikia hizo the gunshots, this is a cans, is a tear gas, all those things, and even the smell itself, ya tear gas, it cannot give you peace. So your mind is bound to go into fright mode, either fight or fright. But now to most people, because they are scared, there is fear that comes with that, they will go to fright. They will not fight. They will go to fright, now they will go into fear. And now when the mind goes into fear, a lot of things can happen. Recently, even in the organization, Newness Counseling Organization, we have had several people reaching out that they are not even able to have sleepful nights. Yes, because when you just hear any sounds that relate to the gunshots, inakuamsha tu, and you cannot be able to sleep in peace. So despite now people, the physical damages that we are seeing, that this supermarket was ilichomwa, hii magari ilichomwa, hii supermarket imeporwa, hii duka imeporwa, imeibiwa by the goons, as people are calling them.
Kado na hiyo,
that's what we can see.
Kuna yale mambo ambayo yanabaki yanasalia ndani.
Good. That's the material thing. That's what is visible to us. But what is happening inside, that's what's happening within, especially psychologically. It's very traumatizing. It's very, very traumatizing. And not just to the people whose businesses have been destroyed, but even to those people who have businesses and they are afraid that they might be the victims of a similar thing in the next episode of maybe the same thing, the same maandamano.
Ama pia hata vile umezungumza hivyo nimekumbuka kwamba wakati nilikuwa naangalia runinga, kuna kijana mmoja wakati ile tear gas canister ilitupwa, alienda kuichukua, lakini ni kama alichelewa kidogo. Sasa kabla atupe ililipuka, na ikalipuka na mkono wake. Sasa ilibaki mfupa tu. Unajua jambo kama hilo, mtu kama huyo itasalia kwa fikra zake, na ni jambo kama vile unasema inaleta uoga. Inafanya mtu hata labda anaona kama maisha imesimama na mambo kama hayo. Na ndio mambo ambayo tunazungumzia leo, watazamaji wetu. Ndio mambo kama haya yanafanyika, na labda hata wakati kama huu yaliisha, lakini kuna yale mambo ambayo yamesalia na watu kama hao wanapita. Na ndio mshauri na saa leo anatuzungumzia kwa kina na mapana nini hasa na vile ambavyo tunaweza mudu hali kama hizo.
So especially now, even if we are not talking about deaths, There are so many people who are now going to be left disabled. Like now the guy kani imelipuka kwa mkono. So
hiyo mkono lazima ikatwe.
Yes. So either ikatwe ama maybe iwekwe the inaitwa pros what?
Na hiyo pia ni gharama.
Yes. Ile ya kuweka so
ya kujaza
nyama ama awekwe maybe like plastic or something else or something robotic for that fact, or sasa mkono ikatwe. But this person is never ever going to be able to use that 100%. So there are so many other people who have got lifelong injuries from this whole scenario. But now today, because we are focusing more on the psychological damage that most people have are getting out of now what is happening. Because when there's lack of peace somewhere, or not only those who are involved in the causing of the unrest or lack of peace, but even those who are witnessing and those who are within the same country are also getting affected.
Yes.
Because now there's something that we call corrective consciousness. That even when something is happening even in another country, it can affect even when you're not in that country. So by tapping into that that happening, because you are within the same environment, so that also get to affect you. But probably we'll get even to some point where we'll be looking at now, how can people make sure that they are not really getting affected so strongly.
Tukifikia mwisho na kama tutapata muda
so strongly by the unrest and the political issues that are happening in the country.
Asante sana mshauri, na saa nadhania mtazamaji wetu umepata mawili matatu, na hasa kuweza kuelewa kwamba si tu yale ambao tunayaona kiasili ya nje, lakini pia kuna madhara ambayo yanafanyika kwa ndani, na yale ambayo yanafanyika kwa ndani yanakuwa yana athari zake mingi sana, na ndio zinafanya hata unapata kama watoto wanashindwa hata kulala. Unapata watoto labda hakuwa anakojoa kwa kitanda usiku, na unaona tena ameanza. Na hiyo ni mambo ambayo mshauri nasaha ataweza kuyazungumzia, hasa pia tuelewe kwamba sababu tuna watoto pia ni vyema tuelewe mambo kama hayo pia inawagusa. Na kabla tujaenda hapo, ningependa urudi, umesema kwamba wakati haya mambo yanakuja, uoga unaingia na inatuletea hali ya kukimbia ama kupigana, na mara mingi ni kukimbia. Na tena pia kuna ile hali ya kuduaa, yani freezing, yani unaona ni kama maisha yamesimama. Sasa unashindwa utafanya namna gani. Labda uelezee mtazamaji those three sections, na hasa ya kukimbia na ya kufreeze, vile ambavyo tunaweza kuimudu kama mtu yuko katika hiyo hali, na hata mtazamaji ama mtu ambaye akona mtu anaona hizi ishara zinafanyika hivyo.
What you have mentioned is something that we call regression, especially in kids. That wakati mtoto akona uoga huwa anafanya regression, meaning that anarudi kwa earlier stages of development, anaanza kubehave kama mtu mwenye ni mdogo kuliko miaka yake. This does not only happen to children, it can also even happen to adults. That when you are an adult and you are going through an episode of strong fear, a stronger emotion of fear, there's a possibility of regretting. What now we call regression. So you go back, you start behaving like a child. You start talking, acting like a child. So that is usually caused by fear, because now the mind usually go into a different state of fear, where now the mind now doesn't know exactly what to do, because when the mind is stuck, that's now what we call freezing. That the mind doesn't know what to do, doesn't know whether they should run, doesn't know whether they should fight, doesn't know whether they should shout, make you shout.
Kwa hivyo mtu kama huyu unaweza pata kuna wakati mwingine hata hali unamwekea chakula, na ile tamaa ya kula hana.
Yes, because this person has experienced a very strongly emotional experience that the mind has never handled, and the mind has never figured out how to handle. Because when you give the mind something that it is not used to, it usually freak out. So what was inastuka? Yes, because now you are doing something that the mind is not used to, and the mind is not very comfortable with unfamiliar experiences or unfamiliar things. So when you do something that is not familiar to the mind, it usually freak out. Sometimes it will just go mute. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know how to command the body. So, and now this is what we are calling now the natural response of the mind, especially in times of danger. Now that's what we call the fight or fright. So your mind is bound to respond in most two ways. So it is either your mind is going to go into fright mode. Fright is disappear, run. Or the fight, which is now yes, you need to protect yourself by fighting, or you need to protect yourself by learning. So when the mind now go into these two states, then that's now where you can find that now the person who is experiencing, especially now the protests and the chaos that is being caused by that this person is now going to either develop fear, because the person who develops fear is the person who goes into fright mode. Because in fright comes fear. In fight now, is now the person who is now going to go into the streets, maybe kwa mtandao in the social media, complaining about what is happening in the country. So when you find yourself in a state of fight or fright, I always say, you need first of all to calm your mind down and ask yourself, the response that I'm about to give to this present or current situation, what are the possible consequences of this, of the reaction? Because neither fright or fight is safe. Because you can fright or you can learn and end up landing into a ditch somewhere, because you are learning unconsciously without being careful about what you are learning into or where you are running. You see? So you can learn. That's what sometimes ukistua mtu, for example, if the person is ako kwa barabara, there's a certain video that I watched a while ago. A friend, I don't know if it was a friend or a spouse, decided to scare the lady. So akaenda akajificha kwa nyumba, akavalia some scary, yes, some scary clothes, you know, a mask, very scary. So when the lady alifungua kama prank hivi, yes, it's a pranking. So when the lady alifungua kwa mlango, so the guy akatokea akamshtua. So the lady akaenda into fright mode, na the house ilikuwa karibu na barabara. So the lady alipotea bio sana akiwa anaangalia nyuma. So she was not careful enough kuona gari ilikuwa inapita kwa barabara. That's how she died. You know? So it was a very innocent thing, but because the mind got really shocked, and so it led into fright. So unakimbia unconsciously such that now you can actually even fall from the top of a building and die, because you are not careful about that. So when you find yourself in a situation which now your mind is going into fight or fright, you want to take a moment of silence, try to calm your mind down and reflect on what you are doing, so that you can consciously, carefully react. Because if you react unconsciously and not carefully to fright, you're most likely going to run into harm's way. If you fight, again, there's also the danger of fighting.
True.
Because now you go into fight mode, and then now this fighting, you are fighting with someone who has a gun. So before you throw your stone, the bullet has already hit you. Before you run into them and throw your punch, the gun has already, the bullet has already hit you. So you want to be careful every time that you're in a situation or an experience that the mind is about or is already going to fight or fright. So try to calm your thoughts down. Try to reflect just a little bit in a matter of seconds. You can try to do some breathing techniques. Just try to breathe in and out consciously. Trying to bring your awareness into what you are about to do. Because if you don't bring your awareness or consciousness into what you are doing, then the chances of regretting what you are doing are quite high. But the moment you're able to bring your awareness or your consciousness into what you are about to do, you cannot regret that. Because now, when the mind now goes into fight or fright, then your consciousness just steps aside, your awareness steps aside, and the mind is left to react impulsively, like it is used to, without now considering the possible consequences of what is about to happen.
Okay.
So every time that you
hatari kubwa sana.
yes, kubwa sana. So every time that you find yourself in a state of fight or fright, you want first to calm down, reflect on what you are about to do, so that now you can react in a safe way.
Asante. Umeweza kuzungumzia kwa uzuri, na tunashukuru watazamaji wetu ambao tayari washaanza kuuliza maswali, na tutaendelea kuyajibu kadiri ya vile ambavyo tunaendelea. Sasa ningependa uweze kuzungumzia kuhusu watoto wale tayari wameweza kuona mambo kama hayo. Ni athari gani ambao inashika watoto kwa hiyo hali ya wakati wanapoona hizo kwa filamu, na pia uweze kutoa tahadhari kwa wazazi ya kwamba mambo kama hayo si vyema mtoto aweze kuonyeshwa, kuachiliwa aone. Lakini kama haiwezi kuzuilika, basi naye akishaona, basi hatutafanya ni mbinu gani ama ni hatua gani ambazo zitachukuliwa ili kuweza kuongea na huyu mtoto kiasi ya kwamba ataweza kupona ama kuweza kumudu hiyo hali ambayo alijipata ndani yake.
Thank you. Now, one thing is that the person who lied to us into the world at large, that you find peace by fighting, is the enemy in the whole situation. Because how do you fight for peace? Like, fight for peace, you know? So if we are looking for peace, then we should not be fighting for peace. We should be peacefully looking for peace. And you realize that when you are peacefully looking for peace, you don't even have to look for peace, because first of all, you are peaceful.
You're peaceful.
So peacefully looking for peace does not make sense. Just like fighting for peace does not make any sense. But now, the people who are now getting affected are mostly the children. Not just psychologically, you get there. But first of all, the kids are getting the idea that if you have to fight, if you have to get peace in life, you have to fight for it. Another message that kids are getting to learn is that there must be bloodshed for there to be peace. Several people have to die for there to be peace. So what happens to the mind of this young child who is conditioned by what is happening in the country, that peace can only be found through chaos, that peace can only be found through fight? This child, when conditioned like this, nothing is going to appear big to this child tomorrow when he is killing the friend.
Hataweza kuelewa dhamana ya maisha.
Yes.
Sababu mwenyewe anaelewa kwamba ili amani ipatikane lazima hiyo maisha iangamizwe kwa njia moja ama nyingine.
Someone has to die. And so these kids are going to be conditioned that there must be death for peace to be. And that's a big challenge, because now we are looking at another generation which is going now to be, you know, the present generation of the Gen Zs. Mostly they have been conditioned by the kind of education and the kind of things they have learned in school concerning what happens when leaders are not doing what followers want or citizens want. That's the rule reading. What happens to the person who has lived? Wakati tulikuwa tunasoma maneno ya tamthilia na akina Mustaikimea. Now that's where we got the idea that demonstrations can actually give you what you want. But now we are looking at a different generation. Now the alpha ones who are not going to read it in books.
True.
They are going to watch it happen. They are going to see it happen. So they are not going to buy the ideas from the books. They have lived, they have watched it. So they know without any reasonable doubt. Yes, this is without any reasonable doubt that blood has been shed. Several people must die for this to be achieved. And now we are bringing up a very dangerous generation which is going to have no value for life. You see? So when we are even looking at that, and we have people who are fighting for peace, and now we have kids who are watching all this happen, and now we are distorting their thoughts, we are distorting their perception and viewpoint about life, because they are going to grow with a perception about life that chaos must be for peace to be. And that's a dangerous way of achieving peace. So these kids are getting affected, not just today, but even in future. And that's why we always advise parents that if you can be able to keep your child away from what's happening in the country, what wasikie rumors and propaganda.
Lakini wasione tu dhahiri.
Yes, but don't sit down with your child and watch like the scenes that we are seeing. Someone being shot. Someone being dragged, like what you are telling me. Someone is being dragged on the floor and that person is dead. Someone being shot at the wakiangalia hivi. So if we can be able to save them from that trauma, then we have done some. You have saved them from the extreme of what is happening in the country.
Yes.
But if they must watch, then every day you need to sit down with your child and get to assess what is happening with them.
Kumwongelesha na kumweza kumwelezea kwamba hivi sivyo vivi mambo yanafaa kuwa yanafanyika.
Good.
Lazima hapa kuna mambo imekiukwa na ni vyema tuweze kuyaelewa yako namna hiyo. Uweze kumwelezea kwa uzuri.
Yes, because everything that is happening in the country, it is shaping the lives of the kids. Now, it's only the parent who can intervene and sit down with the child and mwambie now, unaona venye kunaendelea kwa hii nchi? You know, this is not how it should be happening. Nobody should be dying. Because, and when people can sit down and actually analyze the damage and the benefits that the maandamanos are doing, they'll come to realize that the damage is more than the benefits.
Yeah.
Because if we have to remember Sabasaba, because there are people who are killed, and now remembering 10 people who were killed when Sabasaba happened. Now, on this day when we are remembering the 10 people who were killed, now 30 people have to die.
Yeah. 3 times more.
Yes. The other day, people are on the streets because the guy called, I think, Ojon was killed.
Yeah.
And going on the streets because one person has been killed, 20 people get to be killed because you're on the streets remembering one person who have been killed. So now, these protests, they are doing more damage than the good they are meant to do. You see? So maybe probably it would be the high time for people to sit down and reconsider the methods of trying to find peace. If at all peace has to be found, which I don't believe and I don't think that peace is something you fight. I don't think that peace is something you fight for. Peace is something that you sit down and realize within yourself. Probably later we can go into that. So, but now the kids are really getting affected. Psychologically.
Nini ambayo inafanyika?
So number one, these kids now are growing in fear. And they are growing with fear. And that's like what is happening now. And that's one way that a parent can be able to know and recognize that a child is suffering fear because of the unrests that are happening by the regression that you talked about. So this child is 5 years old, 7 years old, and they have started bedwetting. So this is something that yes, this is something that they have stopped. So this tells you as a parent, as there's something critically wrong that is happening to the child and needs to be addressed. So these kids are living in fear, and there is nothing as bad as fear, because when you are living in fear, a lot of things are going to go wrong. Even when they go to school, they are going to carry these episodes of fear with them. So academically, they are not going to do well. And you'll be wondering and thinking, yes, wondering what's wrong with my child. Maybe even thinking that this child ni masomo anakata. Huyu mtoto amekuwa indisciplined. Huyu mtoto amekuwa hasikizi, amekuwa very defiant. But it's because of what is happening in the country. So it is not just affecting the kids. It is affecting everyone. And now, this child is living in a family. And this child, when this child is living in a family, even if the child is quite young, hata mtoto wa miaka, hata mtoto wa mwaka mmoja
bado inamuadhiri,
anakuwa affected. You see? Because the child can be able, you see kids, for example, when a child is like 8 months or 7 months are out there, and then huyo mtoto anafanya kitu baya, and then you happen to use a high tone on the child, you know, the child is going to respond, but the child has not responded to what you have said. Wacha hiyo. That's not what the child has responded to, because hajui wacha hiyo ni sauti. The child has responded to the kind of energy that you have released
to them.
So the child is leading the energy. The child is now tapping into the energy that you have released. But if you would have said, wacha hiyo, the child would not have reacted in any way. Because the energy you have released is a very calm energy. You see? So, but the moment now you release a harsh energy, a strong energy, a high tone and negative energy, then the child is able to lead the energy. So these kids are going to be affected because they are tapping into negative energy. The energy that is revolving in the environment, the energy that is allowed the house is unrest. It is anxiety. It is depression. It is stress. So this child is going to become stressed, not because the child knows what stress is, but because the child is tapping into the stressful energy that is being released by the parents. You know, so the parents are stressed, the elder siblings are stressed, and everybody is stressed in the house. And so this child is going to tap into this stressful energy, and the child becomes stressed. So these children are going to be affected academically. They are going to be affected health-wise, because with stress comes health issues. Someone with stress has answers. Someone with stress can fall into a lot of, when you have stress, stress lowers your immune system.
Unaweza patwa na magonjwa
magonjwa sasa
kama homa na mambo haya.
So utapata mtoto anagojeka homa, lakini si ati yako na weakness ya health. Because of stress which is weakening the immunity. So they are getting affected psychologically, emotionally, they are getting affected even health-wise, socially, because these kids are not able to associate well with others. Academically, they are getting affected, and even spiritually. Because when you get into church, you realize that now they also tapping into that energy, which everybody has brought in the church. So we need to be very careful and mindful of how these kids are getting to be affected. And most of the times, we will not be able to realize this now. It might show up later, when now we see there is change in behavior of the child. And then you start wondering, what's wrong? Yes.
Kifuatilia kumbe ni yale.
Good.
Ni wakati wa maandamano.
Exactly.
Hapo ndipo mbegu ilipandwa.
Yes. So that's where now the fear started and the anxiety started. And especially even the kids who are in school. Because watu wanaweza fikiria that the kids who are getting affected ni wale watoto wako primary school, juu protest zikihappen wako nyumbani, juu wanarushiwa tear gas, juu wanasikia guns, the bullets, the gun sounds. Ama ni watoto wenye wanaenda day school, juu protest zikifanyika wako nyumbani. But no, even the kids who are in the boarding schools, they are equally getting affected. Why? Because now when they are in school, they are wondering, are my parents safe? Are our friends safe? Are my is my family safe? Hiyo wasiwasi kwamba kama babangu wako safe, kwanza babangu anafanya kazi town, babangu anafanya kazi pahali fulani nimesikia, so they cannot be okay, or they are not sure whether their loved ones are safe. So even those who are in schools, they are also getting affected. And this is where now teachers and schools and everybody, if kama uko karibu na mtoto, you need to sit down and keep assessing the well-being of these children.
Kwa hivyo hata walimu pia,
yes, and keep reassuring them that they are safe. Unabidi ukae na huyu mtoto chini unamwambia, don't worry, despite what is happening, you are safe, you are okay, and everything is going to settle down, everything is going to be okay. So just relax and let us wait for things.
Asante. Leo tunazungumzia kuhusu trauma caused by political unrest or demonstrations, na tumeona kwamba kando na vile manyumba yamechomwa ama uporaji wa mali na pia watu kupigwa risasi, kuna madhara mengine ambayo yanafanyika ndani ya mili zetu ama fikira za hao watu, na ni jambo ambalo ndio wakati huu ni mbegu tu imepandwa, na labda baada ya mwaka, miezi 6 ama mitatu tutaona athari. Na tunazungumzia, tumeanza na wale watu ambao ni wazima wamepitia hali kama hiyo, na tena pia sasa tumezungumzia kuhusu watoto na athari zile ambazo, na tukaelewa kwamba kuna mambo mawili. Kuna ile hali ya mtoto kuingiwa na uoga, na yale mambo alikuwa anafanya pia yanakuwa hayafanyiki kwa vile ambavyo inahitajika. Labda tukifikia mwisho tutaweza kusema huyo mtoto anaweza kushughulikiwa vipi ili aweze kumudu hiyo hali ambayo ako nayo. Labda nirejee kwako mshauri nasaha, na turejelee kwa wale watu ambao walipoteza mali yao, na kuna ile hali ya kuingiwa na kiwewe cha kiuchumi, economic trauma. Economic trauma ya hawa watu unaweza kuifafanua vipi kwa wale, labda kuna mtu ambaye anatutizama, ndio labda kama juzi nilikuwa naongea na rafiki yangu mahali nilienda kufanya kununua bidhaa, na nikaambia jirani yake alikuwa tu ndio ameanza kazi, hata hakuwa amemaliza mwezi, na ndio maandamano yakakuja, wakavunja duka, wakapora kila kitu. Tuliona amefungua tu yuko, lakini yuko hayuko. Hebu tuelezee.
Yeah, now, when we are talking about the economic trauma that is being caused by the unrests and the protests, there's someone out there who have worked on the business, on a certain business, for a very long time. There's one lady who owns the supermarkets, zinaitwa the county supermarket. And then alichomewa supermarket, I think Bili or Tatu, something like that. And she was saying that you guys have really done something that is very traumatizing for me, because I started from down there. I started from scratch. I used to sell alikuwa nauza I think mafuta taa kwa karatasi. So this is someone who have built something, a business for years, maybe best part of their life. So someone has built something from scratch, and they have got to a point where now they can be able now to enjoy the work of their labor, the fruits of their labor, that is.
Yeah, true, yeah.
So you have destroyed something that someone has worked for 30 years, 50 years. And now you've taken that person all the way down there. It can't be easy for them. Definitely can't be easy. You see? Because now there's someone who is moving from being self-reliant, and now they have to even maybe borrow money, because maybe some of them to whose businesses are being destroyed, maybe they didn't even have the insurances.
Yeah.
There's someone maybe who doesn't have an insurance. Yeah.
Wameweza kuchukua
for the
bima
business.
ya kulinda biashara zao.
So meaning that if this person has lost 5 million, they have to start from 1 shilling, maybe borrow that money, because maybe they didn't have assets that maybe they can sell, or maybe everything that they had has been destroyed. So this person has to start again from scratch. And now this person now is coming from this kind of a lifestyle to that kind of a lifestyle. Definitely is going to destabilize. It's going to cause
italeta maumivu ya hiyo hali ya kuwa na kiwewe.
Yes. So and now you think about the families which are going to suffer out of this. Because you may think that now because people have attacked and they have stolen or they have destroyed one supermarket, and then they are like, sini mtu mwenye anaoni hiyo supermarket je tumerudisha chini.
Lakini unasahau kuna wafanyikazi.
But you forget there was someone mwenye alikuwa anafanya kazi kwa hiyo supermarket, maybe even 20 people. There are people there's a company which was supplying the products.
Bidhaa hapo.
Yes, the products that are in that supermarket. You see? So you have not only, by destroying and stealing one supermarket, you have probably affected more than 100 people within that supermarket. Because you look at the cycle of, there were 10 people who are working in that specific business. Let's talk about 10. Yeah. So these 10 people, each and every one of them maybe has an average of 5 dependents.
Yeah.
So if this person has 5 dependents, we are talking about 50 people. So maybe these kids are going to get affected. The spouse are going to get affected. The parents of these people are going to get affected. So we are looking at a cycle of so many people who are going to get affected. Now wewe umeenda tu umeiba TV, umeenda umeweka kwa nyumba. So I'm even wondering now, that person mwenye atakuwa akikaa chini akiwatch TV na ni ya kuiba. So are they ever going to have peace? Unalalia mattress yenye ni unaiba. Umeiba mattress.
Mshauri wacha tuendelee kwa wachana na hiyo tutazungumza wakati mwingine. So tuweze kuzungumza ile adhari ambayo imepata hao watu.
Exactly. So it is now going to affect so many people. Psychologically they will get affected. Because if you have to start from zero, then you have to start with a lot of stress. And this is something that I didn't see coming. I didn't plan. Yes, I didn't plan that goons are going to come and attack my business, and now tomorrow I'll be starting from zero. Well, there are some of them who walikuwa wamejipanga kidogo, because I saw there are some wenye walikuwa already wametoa stock yote. Mtu anatoa stock yote anaenda anaweka pahali fulani. So that now when the things settle down anarudisha stock yake. So for those people who could not have been able to do that, so they are definitely getting affected. So probably what I could say to such people is that, number one, you know, like what my mom used to tell me. Kuna siku moja mamangu aliibiwa shop. Alikuwa anauza nguo, so watu wakakuja wakavuja na wakaiba kila kitu. So and then I was asking my mom now, sasa what's happening now? Akaniambia, now me I don't have a problem, because ni sawa ameiba chenye nilikuwa nauza lakini hawajanikata mikono. You know, I'm still going to continue. I'll not stop doing what I was doing, what I love doing, or the business that I was doing, simply because someone has destroyed it. And now alikuwa ananiambia, now you know the good thing with me is that sijaanza jana, so I know how to build something from scratch. So I'm not going to give up. So I'll just try to see how I can be able to start again. Even if nitaanza tena na nguo ya 2,000 ama nitaanza tena whatever I'm going to start, but I'm not going to give up because of that. So probably what I could say to such people is that it's not easy to have someone destroy something that you've built for years.
True.
It's not. But that does not mean that now your life has to end where your business ends. You can always pick up from where you are and now start building pore pore. But the most important thing that you need to be careful about, the most important thing that you need to take care of is yourself. So as you try to build yourself up again, as you try to pick yourself up from the scratch again, you need to make sure that you are starting by taking care of yourself, by ensuring that you are mentally healthy. Because if you are not mentally healthy, there is no way that you'll be able to bounce back. But if first of all you can focus on your mental health, that I'm psychologically healthy, where I'm resentful maybe, I'm angry maybe, I'm stressful maybe, yes, but I'm going to try my level best to make sure that first of all I'm psychologically healthy, and I'm taking care of myself. So I'm not neglecting my needs, yes, I'm not neglecting myself simply because my business has been destroyed. So if I have to start from zero, then I will. So you shouldn't give up because of that. True. Just, it's not easy. If you have to even to go for counseling, just go for your own sake. If you have to ask for help, ask for help. Let those who can help you pick up from the scratch, then let them help you, so that you can be able to bounce back and now continue with your life.
Asante mshauri nasaha. Leo tunazungumzia kuhusu trauma that is caused by political protests that are violent, ama kiwewe ambacho kinaletwa na maandamano ambayo yenye vurugu na sintofahamu ndani yake. Na tumezungumzia mambo kadhaa, na yale mambo ambao athari zile ambazo zinapatikana pale. Tumezungumzia kuhusu economic trauma ambao ni kiwewe cha kiuchumi, na tukazungumzia kuhusu wa vijana wetu, na pia waathirika wenyewe, wale ambao wanahusika katika maandamano hayo, na wale pia ambao ni wakaribu. Hasa ningependa kurejea kwa mshauri nasaha aweze kuzungumzia kuna mambo yanafanyika pia watu wazungumzie sana. Na hata leo tunavunja na tunayaleta paruanja, sababu chumba cha mawaidha ni chumba ambacho kinatuletea mawaidha ya kuona jinsi ambavyo tunaweza mudu. Na jambo ambalo ningependa kuzungumzia ni wale ambao wameathirika sexually. Unajua kuna watu wakina dada ama hata wanaume ambao katika hiyo maandamano kuna hiyo hali ya dhulma ya kingono, na watu wengi hawataki kuongea. Na labda hata nazungumzia mmoja anatutizama na amepitia hiyo hali na ameshindwa afanye. Kuna mwingine alikuwa anasema kwamba kuna mmoja ambaye hilo jambo lilimfanyikia na alinyamaza, hakuongea miezi sita. Baada ya miezi sita ndio yale makali yanaanza kupungua, na ndio akaanza kuzungumza. Hebu tuzungumzie, labda kuna mtu pale amepitia hiyo hali na ana uoga wa kuzungumzia, sababu mara nyingi hili jambo lina unyanyapaa. Sababu wengine watasema, wewe mbona ulienda kuandamana? Ama mbona mbona ungekaa na mambo kama huo? Unaona watu badala wasimame na wewe kwa machungu yale ambayo ulipitia, inakuwa ni kunyosha kidole cha lawama. Karibu.
Bazoo, everyone can be a victim of any situation. You don't have to be participating in the protests for you to be a victim of the same. We have people who are shot wakiwa nyumbani. So, and now there are people who definitely must take advantage of every situation. So we have people who are peacefully protesting. They peacefully are fighting for the rights and
haki
and justice.
Haki ya kikatiba.
Yes. But again, at the same time, there's someone who is waking up intentionally. Yes, they want to take advantage of the situation. So we have victims of sexual abuse in the process.
Yeah.
And one thing that I can say to such people is that the most important thing, first of all, is to understand that even when you are sexually abused, sexual abuse does not lower your value. Because you are a victim. You didn't take yourself there intentionally to be sexually abused. This is something that has happened to you. You'd come up with all possible reasons to blame yourself, but it won't help. You'd come with all possible reasons to do whatever else you want to do, but none of it will help. So you don't have to consider yourself as a worthless person simply because someone has taken advantage of you. You are a victim in this situation.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is that first of all you need to accept that this has happened. It has happened, and there's sitting down. Yes, sitting down and saying that I can't believe it happened. Actually, the only thing you can do for something that has already happened is accept it has happened because it has happened, and it cannot not happen the moment it has happened. So, in accepting that it has happened, you are not accepting that it was right. You are not accepting that it ought to happen or you deserved it happening to you. No. And it doesn't mean that you contributed something for it to happen. You're purely a victim. So to those people who could be victims of sexual abuse or any other form of abuse in the process of the protests that have been happening, you need to make sure that you're able to heal from that. And you need to seek help, because we cannot know that for sure you are sexually abused when all this was happening. So it has to be you coming out and talking about it. And when you are talking about it, you want to talk about it to people who are surely going to help you, non-judgmentally.
Yeah.
People are not going to judge you. People are not going to point fingers at you. People are not going to tell you, ulikuwa unaenda kwa maandamano kufanya nini, Yeah. And maybe wewe hata ulikuwa watu walitoka tu kwa boma, wote wakaenda, wewe ukaachwa peke yako. And someone came and took advantage of you. So yes, we have victims of sexual abuse in the whole process. And what they need to do is to seek help. Because when you're sexually abused, most of the times you feel unworthy, you feel unclean, you start questioning your worth, your value, and your identity is going to change in one way or another. So you need to seek someone who can really help you, even if not just sexual abuse, any form of abuse that has happened. And that's why I started by mentioning that even those people who have lost their businesses, those people who feel they have been affected by what has been happening in the country, they need to seek help. And the most good thing is that even in the organization, UNES Counseling Organization, we even offer these services for free. If you show up and you tell me that, Eliud, I'm a victim of this kind of a thing, this experience, and I'm not even in a position to pay for the counseling services. We have counselors. They are going to attend to you for absolutely no charge.
Labda tukifika tamati
tutawapea number. So you need to seek help. And if you are surrounded by people who are blaming you, then probably it would make sense for you to even move away from them, if you can. Because when you stay with people who are victimizing you, who are pointing fingers at you and blaming you for something that has happened to you, then those people are not helping. They are causing more pain to the pain which is already there. So those people who have been abused, you need to seek help. You need to come out and say that I was sexually abused, I was physically abused, I was verbally abused, I was abused in this or that way, I'm a victim, and so you can be able to get the help you need.
Asante mshauri Nasa. Tunatazama chumba cha mawaidha ikiletwa na Bazuu the Wise Man, na tunashukuru kwamba mmekuwa mkimakinika na mkifuatilia yale ambayo tumekuwa tukiyazungumzia. Tunawashukuru sana. Wale ambao ni wageni, hebu finya hiyo subscription na pia notification bell, ili wakati tunapoleta show kama hizi zinakufikia mbashara kabla mwingine hajapata. Na sasa nataka kurejea kwa daktari, sababu naona muda unatupa kisogo, na tumezungumzia mambo mengi, na sasa nataka tuweze kuzungumzia washika dau, na hasa nalenga makanisa, sababu kanisa wakati tulikuwa tukizungumza tumeelewa kwamba watoto hawa ambao wanaona mambo kama haya wanaelewa vitu vile ambavyo havivyo, na nadhania kanisa inaweza simama kwa hiyo nafasi ya kuweza kufunza kwamba wakati unataka haki yako si lazima uweze kufanya maandamano. Nikija nilikuwa nazungumza na rafiki yangu, namwambia ndio tunaona hawa Gen Z wakiandamana kwa barabara, lakini tu pindi watamalizana na wale ambao ni viongozi, utapata wamerejea kwa nyumba na pia wanaanza kusema haki zao ndani ya nyumba. Sasa mambo kama haya yakishafika kiasi kama hicho mahali kama hapo, ni lazima kuwe kuna watu ambao lazima waweze kumudu, na ya wakaribu sana ni kanisa. Labda uzungumzie makanisa na labda watu wa kijamii waone jinsi ambavyo watamudu. Wakianza kuona mambo yameanza kubadilika, wajue hizi ni mbegu zile ambazo zilipandwa wakati wa maandamano, na ndio sasa matunda yanaanza kutokea. Karibu.
Thank you. So there are various stakeholders, or there are various bodies and individuals who can bring relief to what is happening. As you have mentioned, church stands at the forefront. Why? Because we have so many people who are Christians, who are Muslims, who go to a specific religion somewhere. And then church has an opportunity to talk to these people, provide relief, number one, help those who are going through any kind of stress or distress, so that now they can be able to have peace. At the same time, we have seen church show up to talk about what is happening, and even talk against some of the things that are happening in the country. But you get to understand that at some point, these same people who have been given power by the citizens, when they get in power, there's really nothing much that you can be able to do to actually make them change their mind. Because these Gen Zs can be on streets every day, but if those guys on top decide that they are not going to do anything, nothing much really can be done. And now you had just the other day the president say that now the only way that he can be removed from the power is through elections. Now people have to wait until 2027.
Cool.
There's nothing much they can do for now. So the church now can come in and provide relief to those people who could be affected. At the same time, the church can also see whether there is a way they can bridge the gap that the Gen Zs and other people who are protesting are feeling, that there is a gap whereby now there is no communication to what they really want and their needs and what they feel should be happening. So if that can be achieved then, but now you see now it has to come from top downwards, because if the person on top is not willing to listen, no matter who is talking, they will still not listen. So, but the church can come in and provide relief, help those who are affected,
Yes.
whether it is financially, whether it is emotionally, any form of support that they need. Even if it is just giving them a platform where they are going to feel heard and listened to and not judged, then that is going to be good enough. So anyone who can chip in and help with the situation should feel free to do so. So that now those people who are suffering, those people who are affected, can find a safe space where they can talk, where they can feel heard, and now what they are going through can be resolved.
True.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Asante sana mshauri nasaha. Tumezungumzia kwa kina mambo yale ambao yanafaa kuweza kufanywa, sababu hii ni hali ambayo tuko nayo na lazima tutafute njia ambayo lazima tuweze kujimudu. Na ili tuweze kutamatisha, ningependa kurejea kwako na uweze kutoa kauli moja. Jambo moja ambalo tumeelewa ni kwamba ndio wakati maandamano yanafanyika, ndio ni vyema watu waweze kupigania haki zao, lakini waweze kuelewa kwamba wakati wanapigania haki zao kuna athari kubwa ambazo hazionekani kiasili na ziko ndani, zinafanyika ndani, na madhara yake ni mengi sana, na tumeweza kuyazungumzia kwa muhtasari tu. Labda baadaye tutakuwa na show nyingine ambayo tutazungumza kwa kina na marefu, lakini zaidi ni kwamba ninaporejea kwako, nataka uweze kuelezea yule ambaye anatutizama, ambaye amekata tamaa, ambaye amehangaika na kusumbuka na kuona kana kwamba ataenda wapi. Naomba kwamba uweze kumzungumzia kwa njia ambayo ataelewa na kuona kwamba ndio haya mambo yamefanyika, lakini elewe kwamba mwisho haujafika, bado kuna matumaini. Kwa Kiingereza wanasema there is still a light at the end of the tunnel. Karibu.
Thank you. Now, we have come to realize that everything that happens in your environment always affects you, whether you are aware of its effect or not. And that's why at some point you might realize there's something that is happening and you are not even directly involved in it, but one way or another it is affecting you. Why? Because you are living in the same environment and you are tapping into the energy, you are tapping into what is happening in the environment. So definitely it will affect you. So to me, as I have mentioned, it doesn't make any sense to fight for peace. You shouldn't have to fight for peace. No one really needs to die for there to be peace. So if we can be able to peacefully ensure that there is peace, that would be more important. But now, with the situation that is happening in the country, there are so many people who have lost their businesses. There are so many people who have lost their jobs. There are so many people who have even lost their loved ones. And it's not the end of life. So even if someone you love has died, even if you have lost your business, you can always pick yourself up again, you can always get back on your feet, and you can continue living. So in this whole scenario, one most important thing that we can be able to learn is that we shouldn't really be getting too much attached into the things we have and the people we have. Because one thing that you're going to realize in this life, and I always say that's a fact, is that nothing you have, nothing you own will be there with you or for you forever. So even when you are setting up a business, even when you are doing something, it's always to not really get strongly attached such that losing a business to you equals to losing your life. So let's not get to that point where we are getting too strongly attached. And again, we have said, usiweke hii mambo kwa roho sana. When we are even talking about politics, don't be too attached or too deep into the politics. Don't be too deep into anything. So just try to make sure that you can step aside when your life is in danger, or when you are required to do something that's allowed you or something that is happening where you are. So let us be safe. Let us make sure that we are providing relief to those people who are affected. And if you are affected, I'm now giving you my contact so that you can reach out to us and we can be able to help you. If you feel like you are under pressure, you are under stress, you are under fear, or there's something that is happening, whether relating to what has been happening in the country with the protests, or even generally in your life, whatever that is happening. So you can always reach out to us and we can always help. Here's my contact, 0713 550 493. 0713 550 493. So if you call that number or text, we are going to assign you a counselor, and you're going to have someone who can walk with you and help you through whatever that you are struggling with or whatever that you are going through in your life.
Asante sana mshauri nasaha. Tunashukuru sana ulipata nafasi ya kuweza kuja kwa studio na kuweza kuzungumza na kuleta haya mambo dhahiri, sababu watu wengi hawazungumzii na wengine hata wakadiri yale mambo ambayo yanafanyika baada ya maandamano, na kuweza kuelewa ni nini hasa inaweza kwenda tuadhiri. Yule ambaye amekuwa kitutazama, tunakushukuru kwamba umeweza kumakinika na kutufuatilia. Leo tulikuwa tunazungumza kuhusu trauma that is caused by political violent political unrest or demonstrations, ama kiwewe ambacho kinaletwa na maandamano yenye vita ndani yake. Na tumezungumzia mambo mengi kuhusu wale ambao walipoteza biashara, watu wale ambao walikuwa involved sexually, watoto wetu ambao wamepitia hali ngumu na imeleta mabadiliko ndani ya maisha yao, na jinsi ambavyo tunafaa kumudu hali hizo. Kwa hivyo tunashukuru sana kwa vile ambavyo mmemakinika na mkatufuatilia kwa karibu sana. Tunashukuru, Mungu awabariki na watende mema. Wale ambao kwa kidogo wameingia kuchelewa, tuelewe kwamba Ezra Christian TV na chumba cha Mawaidha ni wakarimu sana, sababu hii show yote imenukuliwa katika mitandao ya kijamii, Facebook na YouTube. Kwa hivyo wewe mwenyewe ukirejea utaweza kuipata hii show yote, na unaweza kuitazama wakati umetulia pale katika sebule yako, na pia hata ukiwa na marafiki, na pia hata ukiwa na mtu labda unadhania anaweza kuwa na uoga. Kama daktari mshauri na saa amezungumzia kwamba wale ambao wamepitia sexual assault kidogo wana uoga, na ni sababu ya unyanyapaa ule ambao uko katika jamii zetu. Usikae na uumie, ilhali unaweza pata usaidizi. Kwa hivyo utafuta usaidizi. Mshauri na saa amepeana namba ya simu, na hata nami pia Bazuu the wise man nimo hapa. Ukinipigia simu kupitia kwa Ezra Christian, naweza kuzungumza na wewe, na pia tuweze kutembea na wewe hatua kwa hatua, ili uweze kurejea, tuweze kuelewa kwamba Kenya inahitaji watu ambao wamepona, sababu bado tuna siku nyingi za usoni. Maisha hayakuishia kwa maandamano. Ni kweli maandamano ni haki ya kikatiba, lakini athari zake tuweze kuelewa pia zimo, na tunaweza kuzimudu jinsi gani. Na hiyo ndio mambo ambayo tunazungumzia hapa. Kwa hivyo napenda kushukuru mwelekezi wangu Kim Proper, pamoja na mkurugenzi wangu Ann, na pia mama yetu ambaye tunampenda, ambaye anatupatia muda na fursa ya kuweza kupeperusha vipindi kama hivi kwa nyinyi ambao mnatutazama. Mungu awabariki na atende mema. Kwa sisi nataka kumalizia kwa msemo na kusema kwamba chovya buyu la asai, utajenga buyu lingine. Karibu sana. Mungu awabariki na watende mema.